I've been known to rant over what I too often hear in jazz these days, which is an almost exclusive focus on notes. And the idea that I argue against is that more notes is better than fewer notes. Now, I'm not certain of the exact connection, but I can't help thinking about a popular style of video right now that consists of a constant stream of jump cuts. You know what I mean, the quick edit between words and phrases. They eliminate any possible space or breath between thoughts, so they cram as many words as possible in as short a time as possible. Now, what does that have to do with music and improvisation? Well, it sounds to me like jazz players these days have an eagerness to play as many notes as possible and to reduce the space between them as much as possible. Wait, Charlie Parker played lots of notes. So did Coltrane, so did Oscar Peterson, and a whole bunch of jazz greats. Why are they different? Well, let me answer that by giving you my definition of what I think good jazz is in this context. It's improvisation that tells some sort of story. Now, it can be completely harmonically sonorous, meaning the average listener will think it's lovely. Or it can be abstract as hell. That doesn't matter as long as the notes, the dynamics, the articulation, intonation, form, all combine to create a musically satisfying result. So this video is to help remind you to place the musical content as your focus instead of the technical skills when you improvise. And I want to give you a tool and an exercise that's going to help put the music back into your improvisation. Yes, higher, faster, louder requires stronger technique. So I guess playing more notes demonstrates you're a more technically skilled player. But is that the goal of playing jazz? Is this some sort of, Olympic competition? Bird, Train, Oscar, McCoy, all those guys, they were great players not because of how many notes they played, but because they made emotionally meaningful music from their amazing technique. Their technique was the means, not the end, and I think we've now got that reversed. All these years later, jazz now sounds to me more like sport. And wouldn't it be so much easier if you didn't have to worry so much about quantity instead of the quality of your improvisation? Ask yourself, when you improvise, how focused are you on note production rather than musical expression? Can you even tell? Well, let me give you an exercise that's going to help you distinguish between note production and melody and help you more easily play emotionally musical phrases. I'm hoping that this is going to counter some of the brainwashing that you've possibly been subjected to that I'm ranting about. So for this exercise, I'm going to use my play-along platform called Groovz Playground. Now, Groovz Playground consists of a bunch of 1, 2, 3, 4 chord loops that you play over. And each track, I give you the chords, the scales, some common tones that work over the whole loop, and I've written out some melodic phrases. But for this, we're going to ignore all of that and just concentrate on reacting to the sound of the track. So first, select a track, and you can sample them all in the intro, lesson number 1, and find one that sounds cool and interesting to you, maybe a little inspiring. And once you find your track, just listen to it for a little bit and get the sound of it in your ear. The point of this exercise is to play short, improvised melodies with some sort of musical arc, a beginning, a middle, and an end. They don't have to be complicated, they don't have to be long. And after each melodic phrase, wait a bit, pause, and then play another. Because you're practicing creating short melodic phrases that are telling a story. You're telling a few short stories. And I'm encouraging you to take some space between each of those stories. And also vary the phrases. One might be staccato, one might be more legato, one's in a high range, one's in a low range. You're practicing your variety in improvisation. And most important, resist the temptation to play your best licks or to run scales or to be technically impressive. There's no one to impress here. For this, none of that matters. Instead, just think of fresh melodies that express, an emotion within you. And I'm purposely asking you to slow down. Now, let me demonstrate with a few melodies here. I'm going to use a track called Afternoon Daydreaming, and I'm not going to think about the chords or the scales or the common tones. I'm just listening to the track and hearing where it's taking me. So, go to musicsavvy.com and either log in or create a new free account, and then go to Groovz Playground and listen through the introductory lesson. I have a video there that's worth watching, and sample the tracks and find one that you find interesting to begin this exercise with. To get the most out of this, by the way, record yourself, then listen back and, be honest how authentic you were. Were you trying to stuff your licks in there? Were you running scales in order to, more easily fill the space? And for more on this, watch my video on having an authentic musical voice, because in that video, I put clips from Dave Liedman, Randy Brecker, Sheila Jordan, and they have some very interesting things to say about finding your unique musical voice. So at least consider what I'm saying about higher, faster, louder. If those characteristics are true to you as a player, if you feel they are. Ask yourself, is it possible that your most satisfying improvisation comes from instrumental athletics or from something more melodically inspired? And let me know in the comments what you discover. Please tell me if I'm wrong. And that, the point of jazz is to play solos stuffed full of notes.